Hey guys, welcome back to Andy's Dinosaur Reviews. Today we finally get a chance to start taking a look at the 2020 lineup from Schleich. This one here is one that I was half excited for, but half kind of dreading, and this is their Postosuchus. I was really excited about the fact that Schleich was making a Postosuchus, but then once I saw the initial images of it, of the prototype, I was really let down. I was not too big of a fan of it at all. I kind of liked the paint scheme on it, but the sculpt looked really weird. Specifically, the head just looked super strange to me. However, I can say that in hand, in person, the sculpt, or as far as I'm concerned, the sculpt of the head I think doesn't look near as bad as I had initially thought that it would, but at the same time, it still doesn't look that great. And the head appears to be somewhat larger than it should be in comparison to the rest of the body. Even looking at it from this vantage point right here, you can really take note of that fact. And I think a lot of the head issue has to do with this kind of flap of skin in the throat, kind of making the entire area look a little bit bulkier than it should, which causes the head to look a little bit bigger in comparison to the body than it probably actually is. But at the same time, it definitely still does appear to be a little bit too big in my opinion. And I feel like in general the head has almost like a I'm cold type of a look, like he almost looks like he's shivering a little bit. So it does have some issues straight away when it comes to the head sculpt, that's for sure. We also have many issues when it comes to scientific accuracy. In fact, I don't believe that Postosuchus is even a quadrupedal animal. I believe it's bipedal, and they've debunked the quadrupedal stance long ago, which leads me to believe that this is probably more based off of the Walking with Dinosaurs Postosuchus that we had seen in the Walking with Dinosaurs documentary so many years ago, which again means that this is definitely really outdated as far as the sculpt goes. But at the same time, it's at least a new Postosuchus figure, so I'm still pretty excited about it in general. Let's go ahead and get a closer look at it right now. So starting up at the head sculpt of the Postosuchus, you can see that it does sport some really nice sculpting as far as the scale work, and the scale work is all brought out really wonderfully thanks to a very dark wash. And the dark wash of the head is actually significantly darker, and I kind of feel like it's a little more abundant than you see in the rest of the body, and it makes the head kind of appear to be a little darker in contrast to the rest of the body, which is really cool in a way because it helps to add a little bit of color variation, I think, to the figure, even though I don't know for sure if it was actually meant to appear that way. One thing straight away, as always, with Schleich that you can see as a good downside are the teeth. These teeth are really thick, they don't look good. Pretty much the typical Schleich teeth. I can understand why Schleich does that. They don't want kids to hurt themselves with the figures or anything, but I really feel like you don't have to make them quite so bulky, quite so ridiculously fat, just to stop kids from hurting themselves with it. And I really feel like many other companies also produce figures that are played with by children and don't include such big bulky teeth. And in the mouth of this Postosuchus being a smaller figure, and just how large these teeth, specifically these two right here, and it's those same two on this side, they almost come down like a teardrop, and it just kind of gets fatter the further down you go, which is quite obviously the opposite of what a real tooth would be like inside of a Postosuchus mouth. So it really does take away significantly, I think, when it comes to the overall appearance of the head. Specifically, these teeth really mess it up. But once you look inside the mouth, you can see that the tongue is painted in there. It's a fairly nice pinkish color, pretty realistic coloration, and you obviously can tell that there is an articulated jaw, and it does quite nicely articulate. It really does work quite well. You can open it to different lengths, and it does stay in place quite perfectly, honestly. Once you look at the eye, you can see the eye is a goldish color, and I'm not a big fan of that. I don't really like the gold eyes on almost any type of a figure, and it does follow through here on the Postosuchus. I feel like a different coloration of the eye would have really stuck out a lot better and looked a little bit better in comparison to the coloration of the body, because the rest of the coloration of the face is a very similar color compared to the eye. So I really feel like the eye being a different shade of color, maybe like a green or something, could have looked really cool on it. So again, we've got quite a few downsides to the head area, and of course there is the fact that the head does appear to be a little bit too big in comparison to the body. But if we actually look at the overall sculpting of the head, you've got some nice nostrils sculpted out up there, really nice lower jaw as far as the scaling and everything goes. You do have the ears sculpted out back here as you start to lead back toward the neck, Once you get to the neck, you have quite a bit of very nice wrinkling in the skin and quite a bit of saggy skin down here in the lower part of the throat, which does, again, help to kind of, I think, deceive the size of the head area to the body, but it also looks pretty cool just because I do kind of like the idea of hanging skin and saggy skin in the throat. It looks pretty cool. You can also see a really nice sort of an armored appearance up here on the top of the head that leads down into the back, and that is a greenish coloration, and it is primarily all that dark green that runs the entire length of the armored area all the way out onto the tail. It doesn't look like it includes a wash or anything similar to what we see down here either. Once you get into the body, you get some really nice sculpt work as far as the scaling and everything goes. Definitely really nicely done. Beautiful scoot-like appearance that runs along the side of the animal. You can definitely see some really nice skin stretching off of the body on both sides of the legs, so it does quite nicely show the movement that is occurring with the animal. You can also see some skin folds and everything down here, also some skin stretching off of the body with the rear leg that is pulling back. Really nice detailing throughout the stomach. There is some beautiful scaling included and lots of creases and cracks all throughout the skin that does help that really nice dark wash to kind of shine through. And I love when Schleich includes a dark wash on their figures. Sometimes they skip it, other times they do use it, and every single time they use it I really feel like it looks fantastic, and that definitely helps to make all the detail on the Postosuchus jump out at you and helps the overall appeal factor of the figure kind of to jump up a few notches, I would say. You can see some really nice musculature back here in the rear leg, kind of a nice scoot-like appearance right there as well, and lots of creases in the skin once again. You also have some nice musculature here in the thigh, and again some more of that scoot-like appearance in the shin area. Once you get down into the foot, you can see the foot appears to be pretty nicely sculpted. I don't really like the coloration of the nails. I feel like a better coloration, maybe a gray, would have looked a little better, a little more realistic. It's a similar actually coloration to what you see on the teeth, and the teeth are like an off-white, and they're actually really sloppily painted. I didn't even talk about that previously, but you can see areas of the teeth that don't even really have paint on them. And if you look down here on the inside of the mouth, you can see some of the pinkish coloration over here on this tooth. The coloration that's the inside of the mouth, the tongue area, has run up onto the tooth there, so it's really sloppy as far as the coloration of the teeth. Once you come back up into the leg, you can see lots of nice wrinkling going on right there as far as the skin goes. You can also see that scoot-like appearance that runs back into the tail. It does taper off right about here, and then it goes to a really nice, really fine scaling the entire rest of the tail as we go out and run out to the length of the tail to the tip. Really nice curvatures in the tail as well. If you look at the opposing side, you can again see how nice the detailing is, especially thanks to that really nice dark wash. It does look really, really good. Very nice detailing in the throat here, again in the neck area as well. One thing that is cool that you'll notice is that the skin isn't really bunched up so much on this side. It does appear to be stretching a little more, and that's due to the Postosuchus turning its head to the left, whereas over here you can see the skin is definitely bunching up. So that is some really nice attention to detail, and Schleich definitely appears to have really paid attention in general to the way the skin would be reacting to the movement of the animal as far as the sculpt goes, especially when you see like the skin pulling and everything off of the body, and then the skin stretching more so than bunching up in the neck region. You can see the foot down there, and then when you come back up into the body, you can get a sense almost of the rib cage. You can see it there as I turn it, and you can also take note to some more of that really nice detailing all over. Very nice scoot-like appearance again on this side up near the top. And then you can get back into this rear leg here. You can see the thigh is really nicely sculpted as far as the muscle tone goes, also down into the calf. And there is that similar scoot-like appearance to the front of the leg that we saw over there. On the opposing side, really nicely sculpted foot. And again, the dark wash has brought out the detail all over the figure really nicely. Beautiful skin stretching right there. And then we run out the length of the tail once again. You can see the really nice fine scaling the whole way out. And that beautiful dark wash really perfectly brings out every ounce of sculpt and detail throughout this Postosuchus. So there's definitely some downsides, definitely some good sides to the Postosuchus, but let's go ahead and get a size for the figure. So as far as a size goes on our Postosuchus, from the head to the tail, you're looking at about 7.5 inches or 19 centimeters in length, and for a height, probably about 2.25 inches or about 5.5, maybe 6 centimeters, somewhere in that range. For a size comparison, there is Mr. Papo T-Rex, Robert Muldoon in the Attack Pack Curvatures, right there next to our Postosuchus, which shows you that this is definitely a fairly small figure. I would say it's probably similar in size to the Safari LTD version of the Postosuchus, which again is also very outdated, but is also quite superior to this figure. Unfortunately, I don't have that one here to compare it to this one. I wish I did, because it would be cool to see the two next to each other, but I'll have to break that one out, compare the two next to each other somewhere on my social media once I actually figure out where I put my Safari Ltd Postosuchus, as it is somewhere in storage. But in comparison to these figures, hopefully you'll have an idea of around the size of this figure. So this Schleich 2020 Postosuchus is kind of a mix of good and bad. I'm still not entirely sure how I feel about the figure exactly, because it does have a lot of things that I like when it comes to a Schleich figure. It has a really nice sculpt as far as showing the movement of the skin detail in comparison to the way that the body is moving and the way the skin would be reacting in each and every area. I love that. I feel like the sculpting of this is very similar to figures like their Stegosaurus and their Kentrosaurus that have really, really nice sculpt work all over the body as far as the very fine detailing goes. But there are other aspects of the figure that I don't really like very much at all, like the look on the face of the Postosuchus, the very large teeth that it has, which, I mean, you would think I'd be used to that. It's Schleich, I kind of should be expecting that, but for some reason the teeth look extraordinarily bulky on this one, and especially those teeth that I've pointed out have kind of like a teardrop appearance where they get larger the further down they go. But if we move past the teeth and the sloppy paint and everything included in there, we also have to take into consideration the fact that the figure is extremely outdated when it comes to the stance and the fact that it is quadrupedal, and Postosuchus is no longer believed to be quadrupedal. And if we were reviewing the Safari Ltd version, we could easily let that slide due to when that figure was created, but considering this is a 2020 figure, I guess Schleich probably should have known better, but I don't really think that they do any actual research on their figures when they create them, and probably just go off of whatever they can find. And obviously they must have looked at the Walking with Dinosaurs series, came up with this Postosuchus as their tribute to that, and then kind of mixed it up a little bit to try to make it their own. It's definitely not the worst thing I've ever seen, that's for sure, and it does have some pretty appealing things to it, like the really nice wash, the beautiful skin detail, the really nice movement in the skin in general, and for the most part I do like the appearance of it. It's just that it does have quite a bit of downsides to it as well. I also don't like that the head looks a little bit too large for the body. So there are definitely some upsides, definitely some downsides. However, I will link you guys to where you can pick this up for yourself if you are in fact interested in doing just that. So make sure you check the description. But before you do that, don't forget to please like, comment, and subscribe, and I will see you in the next review. Thanks for watching.